everybody. Welcome back to my podcast. I am your host, Jada Sharice, and you are now tuned in to More to the Story, the podcast and show. Of course, I have another special guest. All of my guests are special. But this one here, when I tell you God is all over her life, when we get into this story of what she went through, what she overcame, it's like you can say nobody but God. But God. Her situation is just, oh my goodness, like what she went through. I didn't even know what was going on. I just got up on Facebook one day and everybody was just praying for Shadon. I'm just like, what is going on? I didn't know what happened. I didn't ask anybody. I just stopped what I was doing and I prayed. And then I sent her a message and I just pulled the message up on Facebook. It was November 18th, 2016 at 2:46 p.m. I said, girl, I don't know what's going on, but all I see is prayers for you. I stopped what I was doing and started praying for you. I love you so much, and I know God is a listener, a healer, and He's able. I love you, girl. You got this. God got this. It's already done. I'm shaking as I type this with tears in my eyes. I don't even know what happened, but I love you, so I'm praying for you. Just to read this message is just like, oh my God. At this point, I didn't know what happened. You know, I was just praying that she would be okay. I didn't know what the situation was. And then I think it was like a few days later, maybe a week later, her story was kind of told, and I think it was like a news article and things like that. But anyway, enough about what I said. It's time for her to tell her story. Please welcome Shadon. Shadon, if you can say, do you want to be called Shadon or Shay?
Girl, it don't matter.
Well, Shadon, if you can just tell my audience, hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Okay. So, yeah, Shadon, we are just gonna, get in with your story and tell everything that happened the day of, when you opened your eyes, and let's just give them the whole rundown of overcoming and just knowing that God kept you here for a reason.
Okay, so, hey, y'all, again. So in 2016, I graduated from college. I was studying to take a test so I can go back to school. I was just still trying to, get my life together. I had just got my first real job at a law firm after graduation. I was getting acclimated to my new life of being a college grad, trying to go back to school. I wanted to... I wasn't dating at the time, but I had met this guy, and we were kicking it. We were kicking it strong. So one thing led to the next, and he ended up being my boo-bae. And then I was also going to church a lot. I said to myself, I wanted to be close to God. I grew up in the church, so I always knew who God was. Mm-hmm. I've seen his powers. That's nothing new to me.
Yeah,
to see what he can do in the spiritual realm and just like miracles that he performed.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I need to get closer to God. I was drinking every weekend, looking good, out partying. I'm like, you know what? I need to get in Bible study. So I started going to Bible study every week.
Come on, Bible study.
And this was in maybe August, September range. I started going to Bible study every week. Okay. I started to make sure I was going to church every Sunday. I'm just like, I have to get this together because I'm just having too much fun. And I wasn't humble. I had my own place, my own car. I was a college graduate. I can get any dude I wanted. I was always good. I knew I was good.
Couldn't tell you nothing, girl.
And you couldn't tell me nothing. It was like, I knew I needed to be humble. I wasn't humble. I'm just be honest. I wasn't humble, but whatever. So anywho, so that's happening. I'm telling myself I got to get myself together, get my life together, get on track. Boom, I'm doing that. Me and this guy kicking it. I'm really liking him. I'm starting a new job. I'm making nice money out of college. Life is good.
Yeah.
So one day I woke up in the hospital. All this is going on. I just wake up in the hospital. I'm like, I'm waking up. All my family and friends are surrounding me. Like, hey, Shay, you remember who I am? You remember my name? My mom like, you remember me? You remember me? My fake boyfriend, the guy I was dating, like, what's my name? Who am I? I'm just like, oh my gosh, I remember y'all. Like, what's going on? They like, Shadon, you were in a really bad car accident. You were T-boned by an 18-wheeler. And I'm like, what? And so at this time, my brain is extremely injured. My brain pressure rose to 40. I had a craniotomy, so they had to take my skull out to let my brain breathe because it had swelled up so bad. They had to take my skull out. So part of my skull was gone when I woke up. I didn't have part of my skull in my head.
Wow.
And so everybody's like, because they were under the impression that I would know nothing. I would know nothing. So I'm like, they're like, hey, you've been in a coma for 2 weeks. I woke up on Thanksgiving Day, actually.
Really?
My accident happened on November 17th of 2016. I woke up on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving, one of the two. So they just telling me, like, you've been in a coma for 2 weeks. They trying to let me know, like, what's going on because, of course, I know nothing.
Yeah.
Like, nothing. I'm just like, what is going on? So as I'm in the hospital, I'm having dreams. I'm hallucinating. Just a ton of things are going on. And I'm just like, oh, my gosh.
What was
I didn't know. This was after I woke up from my coma. I started hallucinating. Like one night, my boyfriend was there and I spazzed out on him. I thought that he had us in it was so long ago. I thought that he had us in a nursing home.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, I kept telling him, I don't want to be here. I don't need to be here. He like, Shay, you're not in a nursing home. And it's crazy. I remember this explicitly. I know this boy had me in a nursing home, so I started fighting him, doing all types of things, and
you just weren't in your right mind.
Everybody, he's like, what's wrong with you? But, of course, he doesn't understand a brain injury. He's new to this. I don't know what's happening. Yeah. I just know that I'm in a messed up spot. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going on with time. I'm finally accepting, okay, I've been in this bad accident. I was thinking people were after me. Just a whole bunch of craziness.
Mm-hmm.
So, eventually, after I forgot to tell y'all. So, okay. So I woke up from my coma. I'm like in cast. I'm in machines. Like literally, like I know it's not a machine, but it was like mobilizers that like would hold my body down. I didn't know both of my legs were broken.
Wow.
My femurs were shattered into like
little pieces of glass.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's how my bones look, like little pieces of glass. My left arm was broken. They did an x-ray on my left arm because it was broken. And they saw something on the x-ray and they couldn't figure out what it was. So they're like, what is that? Let's go in. They went inside my arm to discover my 2 front teeth.
Girl.
So my 2 front teeth were in my arm. Just imagine that impact. Like, I'm like, did I have my hand on the steering wheel? Like, my 2 front teeth were in the bottom of my arm.
Yeah.
I have no clue what happened. Because that's the question when I'm telling the story. Everybody's like, do you remember a little bit? I don't know. I can't tell you how it happened. I just know I was on my way to work.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 7:30 in the morning, and I was on my way to work. I know that much. I don't know anything else from that point. These are things that everyone was telling me.
Yeah.
So, to go back, when I woke up, I had a broken arm, 2 front teeth. At this time, I knew nothing about my brain injury.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really much everybody could overwhelm me with at one time. So a few weeks later, I finally transitioned to the rehabilitation center where they wanted to take care of me. I had to go through speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. And I was on the floor. The floor I was on in the hospital, everybody on my floor had a brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the components of a brain injury is people who have injured brains, they don't know that they have an injured brain. They think that they're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Nothing is wrong with them. So I would go to speech therapy, and they're asking me to do math. And I'm like, oh, this is easy. I couldn't do it. I didn't know my alphabet. I didn't know 1 + 1. I didn't know the basics. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing.
But you felt normal, though, right?
I felt normal. Yes, I felt normal in my thinking.
Yeah.
But in all actuality, no, you're not normal. Like, you're injured. You're extremely injured. But I was hospitalized overall for 2 months. I started to progress as the weeks went on, and doctors would always say they didn't know why I was progressing so rapidly. Only thing they could say is you're young. That's why. And I'm just like, my mom and my family like, no, it's just God. They just
exactly.
Don't know Jesus.
That's the real doctor.
Yeah, so Jesus was literally allowing me to heal and just be better and better. And I'm just like, I'm thinking I'm 23 years old. I had everything. I have nothing. I can't relate anymore. I'm not mentally there like everybody else. I don't look like everybody else. Like, my life was in shambles. Like, I cried every single day. I couldn't even use like I said, my 2 legs were broke. I couldn't even use the bathroom on my own. They had to get a machine. It was called a lift.
Yeah.
And I had to sit inside of the lift. They had to lift me up, maneuver me to the restroom, lower me down to get on the toilet to pee, pick me back up, take me back to my bed. Like, my life was over. I just knew it was the end. I'm just like, so.
God sure does have a way of humbling us.
Yeah.
You know, you said that in the beginning. I wasn't humble. Before we get into the next part, Shay, let's go back to the coma. You know, you were in a coma for 2 weeks. You told me you had some dreams.
Okay, yes. So, girl. I had dreams. I have 2 dreams that I remember. Actually, I remember 3 of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first dream was with my ex. Well, both of them my exes now, but my ex and my ex. And my ex from high school, he was at the hospital every single day. Because, I mean, we just have that bond. Like, we love each other to the death of us, but we're not together. We were cool. Like, he was at the hospital every single day. So he would talk to me while I was in my coma. And then the guy I was dating at the time, he would talk to me while I was in my coma. So they would both be there talking to me. And so I had a dream that my dream had both of them in it. But then I met, my dream had one of my exes in it. And then the guy I was dating, I met a guy who was built like my ex, but had the same name as my current boo thing, boyfriend, whatever you wanted to call him at the time. It was just weird because it was like that perfect man. He treated me like I was queen, and it was just wonderful. Like, that was the best dream of my life, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I had a man who did everything for me, and it was like my ex and my current boyfriend in one, so it was just weird.
Yeah.
And then when I woke up, that same guy was there, and he literally treated me how I dreamed of him. To treat me.
Girl.
So that was wonderful. My next dream was that I had a baby. I had a baby. I remember delivering my baby with all the people around.
Wow.
It was just crazy. I just knew I had a baby. And actually, to talk about it, my family said when I woke up from my coma, I kept asking them, "Where is my baby?" I kept saying, "Where's my baby?" And they didn't know what was going on. They just like, "This girl crazy," I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I knew I had a baby. They didn't know I had a baby. I knew I had a baby. And my accident happened on November 17th of 2016. On November 17th of 2017, I found out I was pregnant with the baby.
Girl, shut up.
Like, I know 7 is the number of completion.
Right.
So, cool. Okay, God, I see what you're doing.
That's crazy.
Then I had 2 more dreams, but we don't even have to get into it. They're just too long.
Yeah.
I was just tripping.
I was just tripping.
People were after me. People were after me, like, they had to put me on a ton of medicines while I was in my coma, because if I would have woken up or if anything would have happened and I would have felt the pain, because of course they had to do surgeries on my legs. Like, right now I'm full of rods. I'm full of metal. I got rods, plates, screws, nails, all type of stuff in my legs.
But you still here.
I am. And if I would have felt any of the pain, it would have killed me. Like, I wouldn't have been able to make it through, because my brain was misfiring since it was injured so badly. And it was already, hemorrhage was bleeding. I bled a lot from my brain. So they had to calm me down and find ways. Yeah, so I got discharged from the hospital January 11th of 2017, I believe.
Okay.
So then I had to go back February 1st because, like I said, I didn't have a skull, so they had to put my skull back in my head.
Wow. Now, so where's your skull at this point? You said in a freezer or something.
My skull's in the freezer.
Oh, my goodness.
They had my skull in the freezer for almost 3 months, or 3 months, maybe not a little bit over.
Wow.
And so my skull was being preserved in the freezer. So they put it back in. I was fine. Thank God, because anything could have happened during that procedure.
Yeah.
So I was fine, and, I'm just thankful to God. So post-accident, I was going to the doctors every week. I had to go take all these evaluations, psychological evaluations, because they didn't know what was going on with me wasn't normal. So they didn't know where I was going to head after the accident. They didn't know how I was going to be. They sent me home telling me that I couldn't even live alone. I had to move in with a friend because I couldn't even do anything on my own anymore.
Yeah.
So I was going to doctor's appointments. I was trying to drive. I thought I was fine, but come to find out, me going to see specialists, I'm blind. I didn't know I was blind.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds crazy because you would think a person that's blind knows they're blind, but really I didn't know I was blind.
Yeah.
I'm blind in my peripherals, so if you're to the left, I don't see you. If you're to the right, I may see you because I'm not as blind. My brain is still injured. I suffer from some deficits, but Jesus, I am getting better over the years. But today, I'm still recovering.
Yeah.
But I've surpassed where the doctor said a normal person would be.
Yeah. Nobody but God.
I've changed my ways with my relationship with God. We solid. We good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the fear of the Lord. That's what He wants, and that's what I have.
Yeah.
And I've some friends, they're really in the past. They're in the past. But God has allowed me to become like in high school, people didn't like me much, which is cool, but
oh, I know.
Now I have now like my friends, I have a ton of girlfriends. They respect me, I respect them.
Yeah.
We have great relationships. Like the accident did so much for me, and I've created so many great relationships just because of my accident.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to communicate better with people. Though I'm pretty sure I learned a lot of that in college, but I was better able to see my growth and how I can use that to accomplish the goals that I have set for myself.
Yeah.
So God did so much. My accident was such a blessing.
And that's crazy.
I don't regret it. I feel like I should regret it because it set me back. Like I'm still not in graduate school. I'm not where I expected to be in this place, but it's fine because I have my daughter.
Yeah.
She's wonderful, and she's literally motivating me and pushing me to do everything I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Such a horrible thing turned out for the best. I don't know if I'll still be here without my accident. I used to drive drunk, do all type of crazy stuff that I don't do now. And I am still here, so.
Girl, God is so good. I know you told me shortly after your surgery, you had told me about tithing. What happened then?
Yeah. Girl, so back in 2017, like I said, I was working. I was working my butt off, so I had money. Really, I said, you can tell me nothing. In 2017, I said I wanted to start tithing. Like, I just wanted to bless the church. So I blessed the church with a nice amount of money. And ever since then, literally, maybe a month or two afterwards, I've been financially blessed. And it's 20 now, and I'm still financially blessed. I'm not rich. But if you need something and if I can really help you and be a blessing, I got you. Yeah. If you listening right now and you really you're in a tough spot, reach out. Maybe we can work something out. If I can help, I'll help. If I can't help, I can't help. But I can help you. I'm willing to help if you're in a tough spot. But I'm only doing that because of Jesus, because I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for him.
Right.
And I've grown up knowing give your 10%. I surpassed my 10%.
Mm-hmm.
When I gave that blessing in 2017. And I didn't think nothing of it. Honestly, I was just like, you know what? God saved my life. I need to help somebody else. So I helped out a church.
I love it. Here for it. And the fact that you're willing to bless somebody in the audience who's listening, that's a blessing. I know when we talked about you saying that you gave a big offering, and ever since you've been financially stable, you haven't had any problems. I was the same way. Like once I started tithing and giving my 10% faithfully, like I had no worries, no problems at all. Like I published my first book, Brokenness That Made Me Whole, when I wasn't working. Started my podcast when I wasn't working. It was just so many things that I was doing that I wasn't working full time, but God was still providing. Now recently, I was just visiting different churches because sometimes I don't feel like I'm being spiritually fed. So I may try somewhere else. Like I need a different kind of word. I need a right now word. But in the midst of this, I wasn't tithing because I wanted to give to a church that I felt like I belonged to. So what I was doing was just putting my tithing and money in a savings account. And I would tell God, Lord, forgive me if this is wrong. I am going to tithe. I'm just waiting for the right place. And God said, absolutely not. You're not going to sit your money in some bucket. No, it's mine. Give it back to me. Whose fault is it that you're not at your church home? So you can't use that as an excuse like, oh, I'm waiting to tithe to the right place. No. And he told me you have to release in order to receive. So I was visiting this random church. I had been there like 3 times and I was really enjoying it. And God told me to tithe when I was there. So everything that I had saved up, my hundreds of dollars, I just gave to that church. Not a member or anything, but I did what God told me to do. Girl, why 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from this lady. I do business with her or whatever. And she was like, are you still working? I was like, yeah, I am. But, I'm always open to more income, multiple streams of income. So here we are working together again, and I'm making $600 extra a month. And I believe that that's nobody but God telling me to release in order to receive. You gave me your money that you were saving up, and now I just blessed you, So it's so important to tithe and give, just like you said. And like you said, you have been financially stable ever since. Every time I give my 10%, God comes back with more. So it's important that we tithe. So whoever is out there listening, saving your tithing money, give it back to God. But anyway, that's my little story there. Now, Shadon, I want to talk about, you told me about the LSAT and everything, and you're currently studying to retake it, right? Your LSAT, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I forgot about that.
It's okay.
So, good girl. So, I was planning to take my LSAT. I had been studying a long time before, well, not too long. I had just started studying after graduation, sporadically, because like I said, I was out there enjoying myself. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't as disciplined as I should. So the accident happened November 17, 2016. I found out I was pregnant November 17, 2017. I took my LSAT on November 17, 2018.
Girl.
I got a score that could get me into a school, but I don't think it was well enough to get me the money I needed. So I am currently playing sit in the next coming months. Mm-hmm. So pray for me.
I will.
Before I forget, I want to tell you. So during my I'm still recovering. So I don't during my beginning recovery stages, I was talking to God. I was praying. Like I said, I grew up knowing who Jesus is. My mom is an ordained prophet. All my family, they're higher ups in the church. So I knew who Jesus was. I was talking to God. I was trying to figure out how can I hear from him. Like, I don't know God. I didn't know God's voice because I was just getting in tune with our personal relationship.
Yeah.
And so this is a specific story. There's more, but this is something specific. A family member of mine, he's sick. He was sick. He had some mental health issues. Uh-huh. And he had got into some trouble with the police, and they had took him to jail. Like, it was just a big deal, but it was literally, he had done nothing wrong. It was just his mental health. He was battling with the mental health situation. Okay. So I was talking to my family, and she was telling me about the situation, and I literally was talking to God, and God told me, tell her I'm going to take it all away. So I told this to her, and she's like, she just like, okay, Shay. Girl, they went to court. The judge threw the whole case out.
Shut up.
The judge threw the whole case out because he had experienced family members going through mental health issues.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say to whoever's out there listening, like, you may hear, like, you could hear a bold voice in your head. That could be God. Mm-hmm. You can have a random thought. That can be God.
Right.
You can have someone come up to you and tell you something. That could be God. Like, literally, if you're seeking him and that's what you want, you'll know if it's God.
Yes.
Because you're seeking him.
And be specific with God.
Seek his kingdom first, and all things shall be added unto you.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Amen.
That's what he says in his word. It's something that's real. And I, in this generation, a lot of people, I don't care if you're not religious. You don't have to be religious. Cool. You don't have to wear skirts to church. Whatever those religious practices are, cool. But just have that relationship with God because He is so real.
He is.
He is so
amazing.
real. Just talk to Him. All you gotta do is try. It helps you. It benefits you to try versus not try.
Yeah. God has brought so much peace to my life, happiness, joy, faith, the love that I have today. And we relate in a lot of ways, Shay, going back to being in church. Like it was different. So I wasn't in church every Sunday, but like my dad's side of the family, they were always in church. So if I'm with my dad, then I know we going to church. But if I'm with my mom, we not in church. So as I got older, the way that I became more involved in church is trying to get out of my last relationship. All I knew was to go to church, hear the word, read the Bible. Like, God will get me through this because I have left so many times, but yet I'm still here. And I just felt like that was a situation, a toxic cycle that only God could bring me out of. So I was going to church every Sunday. But like you said, growing up in church, that's different than actually walking with God as an adult. You know, I even got rebaptized once I got in a relationship that I'm in now. And it's important for us to build a relationship with God. Like you said, you don't have to be religious, you know, but just know who God is and have a relationship with Him. It's the best feeling to literally feel God's presence. Since I've been rebaptized and since I have a relationship with Him, I've been blessed with so many different spiritual gifts. And it goes with dreams. It goes to just hearing His voice. Like He will tell me exactly what to say to someone. And I do it. And I just text them. It may be randomly. And it's just like, I'm just being obedient. But God told me to tell you X, Y, Z, you know. And I just love hearing His voice. I love listening to Him and being obedient and having Him guide me. Sometimes we can be a little hard-headed, but God is not going to let up. So I'm just grateful for His presence. And I like that you said that, you know, get to know God and seek His face because He's always there, you know, and the gifts that we have, just like you can hear His voice now, that's always been possible. But you have to have that relationship with Him, being able to speak to Him and say, God, I want to hear your voice. Show me a sign, you know, just be specific when you're talking to God because He's there. He's there.
For sure, yeah.
So where are you now in life, you know, with the accident?
Now I'm a stay-at-home mother. I take care of my baby. I am, like I said, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
God has blessed me. He has put me in a position to be able to stay at home and not need for anything. Like,
yes.
I mean, one thing sometimes, but I'm not in need for anything. I'm able to take care of her. I'm able to teach her. My daughter is extremely smart.
Mm-hmm.
She's a 1-year-old who knows every body part, all the alphabet, her numbers, her name, her birthday, her age. You literally, she knows everything. But that's because I'm able to have the time to spend with her.
Right, that's a blessing.
I'm a better me. I try to pay attention to how I speak around her, so it helps me in the long run correct my grammar.
Yeah.
And how I sound and how I present myself, so that she can do the same. Like it's great. God is great. My relationships are flourishing with all my girlfriends, my guy friends, if I have any. People that I didn't really even talk to in high school, like you. We didn't talk that much, but we were on a cheerleading team together.
Right.
So we talked enough. But now, like, I can just feel the different dynamic of our relationship that we have now versus back in high school, 10 years ago, or however long ago it was.
Same.
So, I know that you're here to ask me questions, but can I just ask you one question, please?
Of course.
Since you've committed and submitted your life to God, have your relationships changed, like, with people? Do you see the growth in relationships? Like, what?
Girl. That's a great question. And I definitely see the difference in my relationships. But when you say growth, I feel like I've lost a lot of relationships because of where I am. It's important for me to be obedient to God, and I am not holier than thou. I still act my age, but I also act like a lady. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like I'm not out and about. And yes, I love having, some wine and a few drinks with my friends. And of course, I still go out. But at the same time, I don't do the same things that I used to do, especially because I'm in a relationship. And He has taught me so much about being in a relationship and how to keep a relationship. So he's guided me a lot. He's elevated me in Christ, my boyfriend. And I just think differently. I act differently. I carry myself differently. And I'm not knocking anybody. Like, I do miss certain friends that I had, but at the same time, it's like we don't really relate in certain ways anymore, you know. But at the same time, it's just like you have to understand that everybody can't go. Sometimes you're growing and it's okay to grow apart. Some people are in your life for just a season, you know, and sometimes only for a reason. So I have changed a lot, you know, but at the same time, I'm still me, you know. I can only be who I am. But my relationship with God, I do think differently, I act differently, and I do carry myself differently. And I'm mindful of that because spirits carry, you know. You have to be mindful of spirits.
Girl,
And
yes.
if the enemy can't get to you directly, he will use the people around you. So you have to think about who you are spending your time with, who's in your circle. You know, you may not talk a certain way, but then you have people you hang around with, they talk a certain way, and now you act in a certain way, you know, and the enemy is just having a blast. So you have to be careful, you know, who you allow in your circle. You have to protect your space, protect your peace, and you got to protect yourself. It's important. So, yep, that's my answer.
Trying to make sure I gave you all the details. It's just so much that encompasses my accident.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget.
I know that. I think it was beautiful. You know, when we first talked, you were telling me you feel like God saved you because he knew you were trying so hard to be a better person and to have a better relationship with him, you know? And I think that's so powerful.
Yeah, because people, and I'm not going off just me. I'm going off the doctors and the people who have family members that experience things as such. They don't make it.
Yeah.
They don't make it. And I have to catch myself because I'm still human. And my flesh definitely comes out.
Right.
I mean, I'm not where I want to be God yet, but I know I'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I literally have to catch myself sometimes because it's like, you know, God saved you. Who do you think you are? I have to put myself in my place, which I do, and I know that's a part of growth, which is what I'm not going to say he set my actions up, but he allowed it to take place the way it did because of where he wanted me to go. And so, you know, I'm thankful.
Yeah.
Only regret I have is when I'm trying to study or when I'm trying to do something. It's like, sometimes I need help.
Yeah, because of your brain injury, right?
I'm not slow, but I'm not. Yeah, because of my brain injury.
Okay.
I'm not slow, but I don't process things as fast as I used to.
Yeah.
And then that flesh may come out. Like, I just those fleshly ways is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But God definitely saved me.
He definitely did.
Oh, that's what I forgot to tell you. So I had to, because I was going to all the doctors, I had to take medical reports and just a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And when I was getting one of my medical reports, I saw I had acute system failure. They hadn't even told my mother. Everything in my body had shut off, and the machine was breathing for me while I was in my coma. Yes,
girl,
everything, Jada.
Nobody
everything,
but God.
Everything, kidney failure, lungs, everything. The machine was breathing for me. And my mom, so I was telling my mom that, and all my line sisters and my friends and family would tell me after my coma, your mom is so strong. Like, she didn't cry. She didn't do anything. And when I would ask my mom said, I had to give you back to the Creator. She was like, I didn't create you.
Come on, Mama.
God created you. She said, I had to give you back to the Creator. And when the doctors came to ask me questions, I didn't answer. I left it up to God. They got their answer from Jesus.
Wow.
Because I couldn't answer because I gave you back to God. At the point where I gave you back to God, He makes all the decisions. I don't make any decisions. And she let him make all the decisions, and I'm here today.
I have chills.
Yeah, it's crazy, Jada.
Wow.
It's real.
Oh, my goodness. That's a word. Like, I had to give her back to God. I had nothing to do with that. God, just do your thing. I trust you. You a healer. You know this, girl. Do your thing.
So, I forgot to tell you. So, I was in Chesterfield, Missouri, which is like 10, 15 minutes outside of St. Louis. That's where I lived at. And so the doctor called my mom. My mom told me, of course, I wasn't there. The doctor called my mom and told me, the doctor called my mom and my mom told me that he said, your daughter is about to die. if you don't get here now to make a decision on what we need to do with her, it's over with. So just think about that drive to Missouri from Chicago.
I know she prayed.
Knowing that
I know
you may
she
not
prayed.
make it to your daughter.
Yeah.
Girl, that lady don't play no games. My mama would tell me, I call my mama like, Mom, my car won't start. What do I do? She said, let me talk to Jesus. I call you right back. She called me. Play with that gear shift. Turn the steering wheel to the right 2 times. Your car is going to start. The car starts right up. After she tells me what to do. So God is real, Jada.
Yes,
and I'm
he
so
is.
happy you know who God is. I know who God is. The people listening, if they don't know, they're going to seek God. I'm happy.
I'm so happy. And that's why I bring certain guests on the show. I just really let God lead me. Anybody that I've interviewed for season 2, God gave me a list in January. So it just came around to me sending out my texts and asking people to be guests like in March and things like that. But he tells me who he wants me to be on my show because he wants all the glory, and he deserves it. This is all about what God has done, what he's doing, and what he's done in our lives. And it's important that we share the good news. So, Shay, I just thank you for telling your story because, girl, God is all over you and you are here for a reason. I'm glad that you're still here to tell your story. And to all of those who are listening, I just hope that you are blessed today. Like Shay said, if you want to reach out to her. If she got it, she'll give it to you. She's in the blessing business and of service. During this whole pandemic, like every day, I just feel like I need to do something. I need to give to somebody. Somebody isn't working. I have savings. I have, I'm working. And I just feel like I have to give. Every day it's just like I have to help somebody. So just reach out to us. I made a post recently a few weeks ago. Just, whatever it is, if it's a bill, if it's groceries, if it's toiletries, any way that we can help, if we can, we will. So don't be afraid to reach out. Shay, again, thank you for your time today. As I close out, I want to say thank you to my audience for always listening and supporting, watching, reading, everything more to the story. I appreciate you so much. Thank you to House Hill Media for always producing and pushing out my content. You guys are amazing. Thank you to just everybody. Like, I love y'all so much, and I could not do this without you. So thank you for your support. Until next time, because there's always, always more to the story.
Wanting to connect with me mentally. It was the questions he asked in return, the time he put in studying me, willing to learn. It was him repeating what I said to get a better understanding and to clarify. It was the effort he put in to get my